Pow! Bam!
Welcome to the School Podcast. We are here in Ogden, Utah. If you don't know what the School Podcast is, it's affiliated with SOAR. If you don't know what SOAR is the School of Addiction Recovery. We are located here on 3075 Grant Avenue, Ogden, Utah. If you do want to contact us, give us a call, 801-943-2655. You see that number on the bottom of your screen. If you guys are looking for an IOP that's going to holistically help you stay sober and clean, this is the place. That's what we do. 5 days a week, we got groups. We do workout experiences, and then we do group sessions, and we go through a manual, takes you through the 12 steps. We are a 12-step program, and we do a lot of spiritual experiences. We get mind, bodies, and spirit all together holistically to keep you sober. I love this place.
Amen. Me too. Love SOAR. Back in the days when it was war, I mean, Dustin, for those that don't know, I mean, started this basically back in 2000 either 10 or 12
years ago.
10 years ago, 2010. And I remember that it started with, I mean, we're going to talk about some homelessness stuff today, but basically he was dealing with addicts that were essentially homeless, and they were literally sleeping on the floor of the gym back 10 years ago. You know, Dustin was just he wasn't even charging people at that point, maybe whatever they could possibly come up with, but just helping people get into, you know, working out initially, and then just talking about it. And then it really started growing into war, which then became SOAR, you know, out of the war and now soaring above, you know. And it's just so cool, this story, man. Dustin, such a solid dude. And Frank, you know, who runs the program, such a solid dude. And LT, as you guys know, man, this guy's brought such good change to this place. And then we got Jake on the ones and twos today, baby.
What up?
Jake behind the scenes. Yeah, like this morning, what we did is we do on Saturday mornings, we usually do like a team workout. So we did it was actually 80 calories on the assault bike. And the assault bike is the hardest machine to use in the building. And so I would do 10, my buddy would do 10, I would do 10, and I did 40, he did 40, right? And then the next thing we did 80 thruster. I do 40, he does 40. And then we went to 80 kettlebell swings, which I do
80,
40,
bro.
He does 40. And then we did sumo height, you know, and then back to the lat. Then the last thing we do was 80 calories again on that assault bike. It made me sick this morning. I had to come up here and lay on the couch for like 10, 20 minutes.
I do 8 calories on that assault bike, and I'm dead. I'm dead, man. I've had Dustin's workout several times, and I do maybe a month at a time, and, you know, not be able to hang, man. So much respect to everyone. But, you know,
hold on. The cool thing, though, before we move on, is after we do those type of workouts, we all got in the car, we went down to Riverdale, we take this beautiful walk down this path, and we end up in this area as the sun's coming up, it's heating you up, and then we separate from each other, you know, 20, 50 feet away or more, go hide a little bit, and you get your book out, and we sit and read for like 30 minutes and just hang out. If you guys go to the School of Addiction Facebook page, follow us there and check it out. We post all our experiences. Dustin took some pictures, uploaded what we've done. Then we end in a group prayer, and then we go on with our day. We still got the whole Saturday.
Well, the thing is, how many other programs are actually like that, man? Like, I think of the last rehab I went to, which was almost 4 years ago. November 15th, I'll have my 4 years, right? And, you know, when we would do the gym, it would be, you know, like 3-4 days a week. And we'd go to a gym. We usually play volleyball, which was like, you know, it's volleyball and a racquetball court. Yeah. Super fun, but
way fun.
There was, you know, totally different, you know, some people would hit the weight, some people would hit something else. But like when you come to SOAR, I mean, you experience a transformation in all areas: the physical, intellectual, PIES, PIESSS, physical, emotional, emotional, social, sexual. If you're following your 12 steps, that's the 13th step, and then spiritual, right? Social, spiritual, and then the other. Yeah. And so, but physically, you're literally changing physically. And so people are watching themselves and their self-confidence is going up. But to start your day like that, a Saturday at a treatment center, it's just awesome. And obviously it's not residential, so you're still living at home or wherever you're living, but you're able to, you really just get a brand new peer group. You're not around anyone that's using drugs, which is just another secondary benefit.
Yeah. Dustin's always talking about the reward. And when I first got here, I was like, the reward, this sucks. This hurts. It's hard. Yeah. I'm sweating. My heart's pounding out of my chest. And I gave it a month or two, and all of a sudden you start feeling that reward. And that's a hard thing
to see it.
Yeah. Too. Once you start seeing and you feel that reward, then you're bought in, you're sold. You see how it works. And then you look at drugs and alcohol and you're like, how could I ever go back to that feeling?
Yeah.
I think about alcohol, and I've been triggered, since.
Of course.
But to just to think of the way it would make me feel, even the buzz, like the glow, you know, that first good feeling. I'm like, no, that's not going to feel good. And then to wake up hungover, no thanks.
Right.
Like this morning, I popped out of bed. I was happy, made a big pot of coffee. Maybe, you know, we played music all morning on my speakers, and me and Link were up hanging out.
Yeah, dude, awesome. sober joy.
Sober
and
joy.
You don't even have joy without sobriety and recovery. Yeah. I think, unless you're a non-addict, right? Then you have joy. But when you have that in your life, just express. Like, I think that recovery is about separating yourself as many. Like, you know, I use that whole room analogy of addiction, but really separating yourself as far as you can from that door or from that bad decision. And it's like, for you to relapse, you'd have to think of missing a workout might be, instead of just having a bad day, now you'd have to like miss a workout. You'd have to not touch base with all the people that sore. You'd have to not be doing your passion. You'd have to do all these different things for you to even get close to even, you know what I mean? It's like, you have to throw away. You have so much more that you'd be throwing away now.
You're like, nah, this sucks. I hate being happy. I'm going to go hide in a dark hole.
Right, dude. Exactly. Exactly.
No,
so
thank you.
Speaking of people hiding, man, you know, it was interesting yesterday when we were out there. So
give them a whole recap of what we've been doing.
Certainly. So for the last month, LT and I, we've been, you know, it's some interesting statistics. So first of all of us addicts, homelessness is a very real, especially those in active addiction. It's a very, very real potential reality for some of us. For some of us, maybe some listening or watching, it's something they've experienced, but addiction often ends in homelessness, and homelessness often ends in addiction. It's really this kind of vicious cycle. And so, you know, oftentimes when we're helping people, and, you know, I do interventions and worked in treatment and out of treatment for, you know, roughly 15 years, and was sober for 7 before. So it wasn't, even though I'm on my 4 years, you know what I mean? I was out of treatment when I had my relapse, out of working in treatment. But, you know, there's so many addicts that are, you know, coming to treatment programs and things like that, that there's so many to help. And then, you know, you kind of don't even really think about how many people might be struggling out there that are homeless. You know, like, it might be a thought and maybe it's a big fear that we have. But so one of the things that we were talking about is, you know, like, how do we give back and maybe help people that the rest of society has given up on, you know? And so for the last month, we've been, and I wanted to give a shout out to the YouTube channel Invisible People, because Invisible People is really, that's what kind of sparked the idea. Is he's a guy that's been homeless himself, and he goes in all different cities across the country, across the world, and interviews people that are homeless just to get their story. You know what I mean? And so we went and we, for the last month, we've been trying to find ways we can give back and help people that are homeless, but really go and spread the message of recovery to them, for those that it's not a very prevalent message, you know, I mean, and we learned that pretty quickly. So we went down there about a month ago. We've been down there at least once a week, every week since. And
so where we go. So let me give you a little snapshot. So we're in Ogden, Utah, right? We're at 3075 Grand Avenue, just like it says right there on your screen. And about 2 blocks this way is called Lighthouse. It's a homeless shelter, right?
Yeah, it's a homeless shelter.
It's this big homeless shelter facility, and there's people that stay inside the facility that are checked in. They're like obeying the rules. They're getting their COVID
totally
checks.
Places, yeah.
And then just right on the street out front is Tent City, all the way up and down both sides. The cops clear them out. Within an hour, their tents are back up. So we've been going down there, and all we're doing is just getting out, introducing ourselves, saying, hey, this is who we are. We're your neighbors up the street. This is, you know, we're in recovery, and a few of them are actually homeless, but in recovery.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's only maybe 2%. And the rest of them are busy as hell doing nothing.
We saw someone yesterday, that was just sitting there with a hacksaw, just going to work at, 10 a.m. just
tent tools everywhere. Yeah.
Tent tools everywhere, and the thing is, and so we started just like he said, just started talking to people, and that was our first day, and we went around and we asked people, just introduced ourselves to them, asked different ways that we could help. And then we would ask some people, if they were willing to share their story, whether they're in addiction or not. We wanted to hear from them. We wanted to know that their voice, because we need, especially when we're in addictions, when we need someone to reach out to us, right? The first person we met had zero interest in sharing their story and zero interest in recovery,
but enjoyed the conversation and a smile.
Absolutely. Enjoyed the conversation and a smile. Thanked us for giving him a smile. And so that's no knock on him. People get to choose to live their lives how they want. but it was, our first introduction was kind of like, ooh, wow, and then we went around, started talking to some more people, and we connected with this older gentleman named Ben.
Oh yeah, Ben.
And we've got a cool interview with him actually here in this studio. We're going to be putting out kind of like we're deciding how to do it, whether it be a series, whether it be a long episode. We don't know yet, but we're going to be doing. You're going to be able to see all the stuff that we're doing. But
yeah, Alicia. So we do only do this in Ogden right now. We just started, like I said. We only go once a week. We go usually on Tuesdays or Thursdays in the morning. And we're just right now, basically what we're doing is we're not trying to bum rush them.
Not at all.
No pun intended. And just to get to know them. And so now that we pull up, they recognize we've got recovering addict hoodies on. And,
yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? And yesterday we went up and down. All we did is basically went up and down the street and we passed out like 40 waters.
Yeah, 40 waters to everyone.
And then winter coats. We had a friend of ours donate a bunch of winter coats, and we handed some of those out.
Yeah, so if anyone has anything to donate, I mean, they've said things like hygiene kits, toilet rolls.
We're going to start a box here at SOAR for people that, if you clean out your closet and you got a bunch of clothes, or you got anything, that you're going to throw away. We're just going to start stacking it up here. And
absolutely.
We'll be able to just start taking it down and giving it away. And all we're doing is trying to love people, really.
That's it. It's just trying to love people, and also I think I think those that have been brave enough to share their story with us that are sober, they might not really tout that down there, because down there it might not be the hottest thing to be sober. You know what I mean? And we've seen, quite a few things go down we won't speak on, but gosh, yesterday we had someone come up that said, they saw your shirt, and the guy's like, recovering addict. And we thought he was going to be a fan. And he throws up the double fingers and he says,
I'm a rock star.
F you, I'm a rock star. And we're like, all right, buddy, do you know what I mean? It still gave him a smile, and and then the guys we were talking to, they were like, even though they had a couple beers in their hands, they were like, man, what an asshole. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were like, it's got its own little community. But we did hear from a gentleman named Ben who shared his story. He's almost sober 4 years as well. Long history of cocaine use. We had someone named George yesterday share their story. We had someone named James yesterday share their story. We have a few other people that, eventually they may share their story, but we're trying to spread the message of recovery, give them love, and then also hear their stories of recovery or their stories of struggle, so that we can also share those for anyone that's willing to help. And so, there's some interesting statistics that I've pulled up, regarding us. Let me just, here's some stats maybe on overall with homelessness. But so around the U.S., the stats are done differently. In Utah, there was a stat done in 2019. The last United States stat was done in 2017, and there's approximately 554,000 homeless people in the U.S. And it's increasing yearly, and especially in younger age ranges. So the National Coalition for the Homeless has found that 38% of homeless people are alcohol dependent. 38, I mean, that's more than a third. And 26% are dependent on other harmful chemicals. So a quarter are addicted to, crack, meth, heroin, pills, you name it. And oftentimes addiction is a result of homelessness. So, and I've even seen this before. So where, there might be a woman or a male that's in an abusive relationship. They can go either way. And they're just put out. And, just from being out there and being exposed and being out there with no help and being surrounded by a big group of people that are willing to use and sell drugs and things like that they end up using and becoming hooked themselves.
What's up, Josh?
And Alicia that asked earlier, I actually have quite a few older videos from a couple years ago, and I'd go do this down in Salt Lake at the block where, I'd go in and try to talk to people. It's so much different though with going with a few people, you know what I mean? Like yesterday was such a cool day. But some other things. So
Shandia, that'd be cool if you share your story one day. I'd love to have you come down.
Absolutely. Has anyone on here, if they want to share experienced homelessness? It'd be interesting to know if
anybody on that's watching right now, because you may be catching this podcast actually on a podcast platform that I upload on Mondays, but right as we do them, they are also live. So if you tuned in on 7 different platforms, you can catch us live. Alicia says she's been homeless.
So Alicia, you've been homeless.
She was on the podcast last Saturday.
Oh, gotcha.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Best podcast we've had so far since I
really.
Yeah.
Oh man, listen. I'm gonna definitely check that one out later today. So I'm sure you've already shared that part of your story. So is that Epi?
Epi, yep.
Epi,
that's Felice's brother.
Epi, okay, gotcha. So Epi's been there. Look, that's good. So listen. So also a third of the homeless battle with mental illness, and we know that can lead to addiction in and of itself. So bipolar, paranoia, delusion, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, major depressive disorder, severe anxiety. So a lot of people just try to self-medicate to deal with what they're going through. But, I don't know how many people have walked outside this last week and just realized how cold it's been.
Yeah, we had a cold front come through.
I mean, a cold front came through. The last few days, not as bad, but maybe 5 days ago or so, it was, I had to double jacket it up, and
Nick says he's lived in his car.
Yeah, Nick, what's going on, my man?
You know that guy?
Yeah, and he's yeah, oh, absolutely.
Cool.
We go back. Patria, it's good to see you, brother. Yeah, no, this is one of my best buddies, man. Nick, love you to death, man. Would love to sing. We chatted maybe a bit ago, but nice. Yeah, would love to hear that, man. Happy Halloween, everyone. So yeah, but yeah, so it's pretty interesting. 60%, so 50-60% of homeless women suffer from mental and emotional disturbances, often predating their homelessness. And then many homeless women become homeless in response to escaping post-laden with domestic violence or sexual trauma. Some are victims who fled the hard grip of sex trafficking. And then those along with co-occurring disorders have contributed to the fact that 1/3 of homeless women have abused heroin, crack, cocaine.
Check out this little one right here. Not little, but
okay. Yeah, let's.
How you say that? Seraphine?
Seraphine or Seraphine. I'm struggling. I'm an addict to pills, weed. My husband picked meth up this year. I'm now homeless. Been hotel hopping because we lost the home. He's been selling and buying, and it's so dangerous. His mom sold our home, but she's still saying she will let him pick our new family home, and I can't live with him in active addiction. Then he brings the pills. I'm weak around me, and I can't figure out what to do with myself and 3 kids and how not to get mad at him for being addicted.
That's a tough situation.
Seraphine,
you got to take care of yourself and your kids, and if you have to draw a hard, strict boundary, draw it. And just, you got to, if your potential to relapse in a high risk situation, you got to put yourself in protection and your kids in protection if that's going to keep you clean, and let his addiction take him where it's going to be. Your recovery is your recovery and his is his. Absolutely. Separate yourself and do what you got to do would be my advice.
I'd say the same thing. And Seraphine, I don't know where you're writing in from, but if you are in Utah area, and I'm happy to look afterwards for some others, but Utah has Odyssey House of Utah has a women's and children's program. It also has a fathers and children's program, which was the first on this side of the Mississippi. But in Utah, and you can reach out and call SOAR, or you can give me a call at 26 sobriety, 26 and then dial the word sobriety, and I'm happy to plug you in with them because it's an amazing program. Your kids will actually get education. Go make sure they attend school, and they will have daycare throughout the day while you're in 24/7 residential treatment. So it can literally save your life. I went through Odyssey House. I was there 2 years. I don't want to speak for anyone else that might be on here that may or may not have been through that program, but it's she's in Houston. You know what? There's an Odyssey House of Houston actually. There's an Odyssey House of Texas. They may have closed. I got to check, but I guarantee you that Houston has some women's and children programs. I do know that. But we will, Epi, California definitely has a ridiculous homelessness rate.
Houston, Texas, I bet you they got all kinds of things.
I know they do. But it's interesting. The guy that we interviewed yesterday, this guy, James, you remember?
Oh, yeah.
This guy, James, he started his addiction down in Texas when he was 12. Mm-hmm. And then he got addicted to the fentanyl strips. He was chewing them up, and his daily dosage was usually Alicia, I love Odyssey House too. You worked there. Yes. So if you know Callie Maurer, so I used to have her position. Adam and I are close buddies, and I used to be the director of marketing there. So I went through Odyssey House back in 2006, January 3rd, 2006, I went in there. And then they still do have programs in Texas. Thanks, Nick. And yeah, went through that program and was there 2 years, and then worked my way up, and then was on the exec team. It was an awesome experience. Then worked there for several years after that until I left the industry.
Oh, you know what? Maybe we could. I know him to the rock. His name's Michael Molthen. He's down there in Houston.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe we could. I'll reach out to him. Maybe I'll see if he can send me some links to programs down there that could help you out there, Sarah. If you don't mind me calling you Sarah, Sierra. Sorry, I screw names up all day. And then maybe I can post them on the Facebook page in the private Facebook group, and then maybe that'll help you out.
Yeah, I'm Googling right now to see what there is. But
hi, Sky Love.
This gentleman that we talked to yesterday was okay. I'm trying to find something that has Texas drug rehabs for women with children. I'll send you this right here, Jake, and maybe you can send the link in the message. I hope this link is helpful. It says drug and alcohol rehab facilities for women with children.
Yeah, no
but
problem.
They do a good job also of if anyone's out there has lost their children here locally, Odyssey House does an amazing job of reuniting, the mothers or the fathers with children. So the Parents with Children program is what it's called now. Is pretty amazing. But this guy James yesterday, man, his story was interesting. We saw him. He had dress shoes on. He looked.
Yeah.
He and he hadn't been homeless too long. But listen, how he got homeless. So he'd been an addict for a long time. But basically, he was living in. He had a place with a guy, and the two of them they were roommates, and they were dating these other two women that were roommates. And this was just last year. He got his kids to come stay with him. He got his 3 kids to come stay with him from a divorce that had really broken him up. But he got his kids to come stay with him. And this is while he's been sober. He's been sober the last 3 years from heroin. And they came, and then he got kicked out of his house because he walked in on his roommate with the other roommate that he was dating. A pretty
brutal story,
brutal experience. And he didn't go back to heroin, but he ended up homeless. And so he had to send his kids back with their mom. And he was, so now he's out there and he's trying to find work. It sounds like he does have a job, but it's kind of on and off. But it's a hard experience down there. Yesterday they weren't even going to give people food, I guess, unless they had a COVID test. And I understand the reason, but
the ladies from the lighthouse came out and they were dressed like it was the pandemic, suits, like spacesuits, and yelling at everybody, if you got your corona checkup, you need
no food
for you.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa. Somebody in the comments asked if I was ever homeless, and I'm. How do you define homeless? Is it somebody that's not have a house with a bedroom of their own?
Yeah,
because I basically house hopped.
Yeah,
as a tweaker for months. Right, I would do meth. I didn't live anywhere. I didn't have a place.
That's considered homeless according to the definition.
So then, I guess I was homeless, and then there was a 1 week period where I had run out of couches to crash on.
Yeah.
That I was I didn't sleep in the streets, but I was still just struggling at the last few couches, and then ended up getting arrested and went to jail. So that's about as close as I never ended up at a homeless shelter or under a bridge or nothing like that. I was just running around.
Yeah. It's always been one of the biggest fears of mine. You know what I mean? Is because I know that's something that we could.
Thanks, Copy.
I know it's a place that any of us with a series of bad decisions could end up.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a place that any of us can end up.
That's what we were talking about in group last night. Because we brought a friend with us.
Yeah.
And she's going through it right now too. We're all in recovery here. It's a struggle every day.
Oh, our friend from yesterday.
Yeah. And the cool thing is you look at and you see that situation and you're like, man, my life's not that bad. But in the other aspect too, I like to rewind. I look at these people that are homeless and I look at them and I go 5-10 years ago. Exactly. They weren't like this.
Right.
And they didn't expect to see themselves like this.
No.
And then I look at myself and go, by the grace of God, there go I. If it wasn't for the grace of God, there's where I would be.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Absolutely. Dude, just a few decisions away from being there, and given our addiction, that's a very likely outcome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's, like I said, it's a cycle. So anyway, we wanted to basically share about, what we're doing. We wanted to ask anyone that wanted to, anyone that wants to help, either feel free to come drop off any type of donations. Feel free to just call in or send some in with a tag of where you want it to go. And we're happy to use those in our project. So and I don't want to call it a project. It's more of a spiritual experience, you know what I mean? And giving back, but, it's touching. You know what I mean?
I enjoy the conversations we get into.
Oh, I enjoy the conversations completely. So Brian, who has an amazing story. He's not available to actually dial in right now. He's actually got a job. He's employed, and he's living in the shelter, but he's actually by choice doing it for a year. He wanted to, obviously down on some difficult times, but wanted to give it a year to actually get the experience of kind of disconnecting from everything. And anyway, we wanted to get him on live to share his story today, but he's unable to. But I'm talking one of the most positive people that I've met, and Gary yesterday, just so positive despite the circumstances. Yep. Have anyone seen the movie Happy?
Not me.
So the movie
Epi, thank you so much, brother.
Nick, yeah. Hey, if Susie wants to give some things, dude, just send me a text. Send me a text, man. It's still the same number.
Yeah, and we'll bring it here. We're gonna start storing a bunch of stuff here at SOAR, so that on the days that him and I and whoever wants to join us, we're not selfish, just us two going down there. We love to take anybody with us. We're gonna try to get group sessions to go down there and just give back to the community,
Yeah, when we get enough stuff, we're gonna want to go. We're actually gonna want to go set up a table one night and just be able to have a massive give out. And I'm gonna get my uncle's restaurant, ideally, Uncle Don, if you're watching. I'm gonna try to get his Mexican restaurant to donate, a bunch of food. That's one of the things they mentioned is just a hot meal. Like hot meal is something they said that they would love. So that's difficult.
That'd be nice right in the winter, in the dead of winter.
Absolutely.
Take them a hot meal.
It's exactly what I'm thinking.
Fun.
And then anyone that wants to join would be a great spiritual
Will
experience.
do, Epi. Yeah, and like I've told you guys before actually we initiated the process, anytime super chats are hit, a portion of that goes to buying the waters, deodorant, whatever, So Epi, that $5 will definitely go there for sure. And thank you so much for your support. Yeah, Alicia, anytime. I know Dustin wants you to come down and talk to the group too, so we need to set something up anyway. Yeah, Felice, we could take the grill down there and make tacos. That would be cool. We could just go down there and bust out street tacos.
Absolutely.
They're like, I think I figured it out. To make one street taco is 61 cents.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What we could also do is we could also, if we're able to raise enough, and I'm willing to contribute as well. But if we could find a food truck that, because I know like for different parties, like I've hired a food truck where you basically pay for how long they want to be there, and it's like unlimited food. I mean, like, and like they have their hourly rate.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they might raise the hourly rate because I'm sure the food will go fast, but I mean, we could cook as well as maybe, depending on how much we can raise, bring someone that can actually, in case we get hassled for not having a license for the cooking or anything like that,
But we're not selling it. We're just giving it away.
No, that's true. That's true.
I think for like $400 we could feed about, we can make like about 600 tacos.
Yeah, see, that's unreal.
Yeah, that's with a drink too.
That would take care of everyone. Yeah. I mean, that would take care of everyone, at least in that area.
We just give away plates of 4 tacos.
Yeah,
we'd feed the whole town.
We absolutely would.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, got twice.
Yeah.
Felice tacos. Felice makes some good tacos.
Alicia's had them. She knows what's up.
All right, good stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to get others to share their stories, but I mean, maybe one of the things we could talk about, let me look at some more of these stats before we kind of go on to some other things, but because some of these are just staggering.
Epi says if we contact In-N-Out, they might do some charity stuff.
In-N-Out might. And it's, we could go to the one there is one in Ogden, isn't there? I know there's one in Layton.
Is Brad, are you in
Riverdale?
Utah?
Okay, even easier.
Is Brad in Utah? That'd be cool, yeah.
PA.
When you're saying you can do that, Brad, what are you talking about?
One of the P words. Heck yeah.
So just to get some stats on Utah. So in Utah right now, there's 2,798 people who are homeless. So either crowding in shelters, street corners, parks, and cars. These individuals experienced the loneliness, fear, and pain of homelessness. That was on one night in 2019. Average life expectancy for someone who's homeless is 66 and a half years, which is 12 years less than that of the general U.S. population. And also tends to have far more health concerns than the housed person.
Thanks, Brad.
That's unhoused. Oftentimes the word people like to use is unhoused. So almost 90% of homeless individuals report having dental problems within the last 6 months. Unstably housed adults over age 50 use the emergency rooms at least 4 times the rate of the general population. And then homeless individuals have higher prevalence of chronic diseases, often more than 10% than that of the general population's prevalence for any given condition. So, and 4th Street, shout out to 4th Street in Utah. 4th Street Clinic in Salt Lake, they do an amazing job of helping the homeless in Utah. I know they even helped everyone that was in Odyssey House, free dental, all types of things. And now Odyssey House has their own services that they provide. In fact, Odyssey House partnered with the state to provide homeless services. So they have they actually provide services to those that are just strictly homeless.
Thank you, Merk. Yeah, you guys can reach me at recoveringaddict8@gmail.com. If you go to recoveringaddict.org as well, you'll find my cell phone and any way to contact us. And the 3 o'clock Zoom is going to be canceled until further notice for all the people who know what I'm talking about today. I got to, today's Halloween for one, but then all this other projects we got going on, I got to try to find some free time so that I don't burn myself out.
Yeah, dude, don't burn out. Burnout ain't good.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
down there,
burnout is exactly what led me to my last relapse. That's exactly what it did. Was burnout, trying to give too much to myself, trying to do too much. That's what ended me on the, I'm on the Golden Gate Bridge every week trying to decide which light post I'm going to jump from.
Tell me that story.
Well, yeah. So for those that don't know, I was sober for, like I said, a number of years, and I was working at Odyssey House. Adam, Eric, and I, were essentially there running Odyssey House at the time, along with the rest of the exec team. And then Eric and I had gone on to start New Roads. I stayed working at Odyssey House with Adam while I was helping with New Roads. But I kind of got this feeling that, I've got this recovery thing licked. I already finished my master's in business. I'm like, I'm kind of too good to work in this recovery thing. Which was already a sign that my ego was getting to me. So then I went into private equity, which as an MBA, as someone who graduated business school, is like your dream job, right? You're like, okay, now I get to become the big wig CEO, exec, all that type of stuff. And so I went out to California and, was running a business out there, and essentially just, okay, I can start drinking again. You know what I mean? And this is no problem because I can manage my drinks. I can keep it to 1, 2, or 3 drinks if I want to. But then I'm with someone and they bust out some cocaine. And then of course, once that cocaine is busted out and I'm 3 drinks deep, even though I can stop at drink 3, that cocaine sounds a lot better and my inhibitions are a lot lower. And I hate cocaine. That's not even one of my drugs of choice. And so, next thing you know is I'm hitting some lines of coke. And then of course, after that, I'm like, well, shit, man, I got to come down. Hey, dealer, talk to my lawyer buddy who knew the dealer. Then it's like, hey, introduced me. You by chance don't have any OxyContin or anything like that, do you? He's like, well, here's a menu. Basically opens up everything he had. He was basically a pharmacy. And so then my addiction, within 2 years of not working in recovery and letting my ego basically drive everything that I was doing, you know what I mean? And I was having great experiences in terms of business experience, but in terms of life experience, I was becoming far less happy. I'm married to an amazing woman who ended in divorce, much due to my use. And then I found myself basically on the Golden Gate Bridge. I would go down there every week. So San Francisco became the place I'd go to score. When you see the tents out there, that's what the Tenderloin is. It's like tents, nothing but tents, and there's a different corner. Turk and Taylor for your crack, Golden Gate and Leavenworth for your opiates. Different corner for everything. It's in the block in Salt Lake has become, or was at least, similar to that. But so I'd go down there often, and then every time I'd have to go down there, I'd have to cross the Golden Gate. You know what I mean? And so it became so lonely that, I was always thinking of how could I end this? You know what I mean? And shooting myself never sounded like a mess I wanted to leave for anyone I cared about. So I was like, and then I watched this documentary, The Bridge, which it's all about the Golden Gate Bridge and the suicide that happened. And it's mind blowing, but you would think that would be something that would pull me out of it. but it actually kind of drew me more to it. And because it told kind of the different stories, and you hear different peers that different people jump from. And I started researching, being like, okay, well, this guy in the 60s or the 40s, I don't remember, jumped with his 4-year-old daughter. You know what I mean? And that's a pretty sad story. Like, I'm feeling that bad about myself. That's the one I'm going to go from.
Yeah.
You know, and he's an elevator salesman. And I mean, amazing different stories they have. And so I can't tell you how many times I walked that bridge and no one ever had talked to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm casually just walking that bridge. The 2 times that I was actually dead serious about jumping, like dead serious, like I had put on a suit because I didn't want anyone to bug me. I had my phone out. I wanted to pretend like I was completely involved in a conversation, because I had learned about bridge angels at this point. The lady that worked in the condo that I had, like the complex, was one of them, and it kind of told me about them. And so I would try to, I was like, okay, I don't want to be stopped by anyone. So I'm sitting there both times, the same one. I'm talking on my phone, and I'm in the middle of a call, you know, and I'm kind of leaning over the railing, and I'm just picturing it, because it takes guts, even though it can be told it's a gutless thing to do. It takes guts to do it when you're in the moment, and guts I clearly didn't have, but with the help of God, and I'd say it's through these bridge angels. Like, these bridge angels, actually, I'm in the middle of a call, and would come up. They just come up and they just say, hey, and they would do this to pretty much anyone that was on the railing. They'd say, hey, I just want to let you know that somebody out there cares about you. You know what I mean? And that's their job, is just to walk the bridge and just look at anyone that's, even if I'm on the middle of a call and I'm dressed in a suit. It's like, lady, I'm closing a deal here. Like, that's what I said the first time. And then the second time I said, thank you, and gave him a hug,
Wow.
and it just pulled me out enough. And then that's when I said, you know what, I need to get my ass back into treatment. I don't have, I thought I had it all figured out, because I'd help start treatment centers. I'd help run treatment centers. I'd done all this. And then when I went back through therapy, I went to Wasatch. I was there for 30 days. And when I was talking to my therapist, he's like, Don, so why did you stop working in treatment and helping people? I'm like, man, because I wanted to be successful. And he's like, Don, listen, man, you were 28 when you did that. You started teaching grad school in master's program at 26. You were already on the executive team of Odyssey House. You'd already helped start a treatment program, New Rose, that has helped so many people. You'd help grow Odyssey House, which helps thousands of people a day now. He's like, dude, you were already successful. And I'm like, and then that's when I realized, in that moment, dude, that's what I have to do. So ever since then, every one of my business ventures has been, everything that I've been focused on has been in giving back and helping, so whether that be through interventions, sober companioning. We have a billing company that does, that only strictly works with mental health and adolescent mental health and substance abuse, and adult substance abuse mental health treatment centers. And then also have this new family addiction initiative. It's familiesaddiction.com. The therapist that's on there, it's actually Brett Vroman, who was a great friend of mine, Jackson Vroman's dad. 7-foot tall guy, played in the NBA, has an amazing story. My best buddy Jackson, Nick knows him. It was a big story all over the news. I mean, he was an NBA player also, just like his dad. And he was basically found dead in a pool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One morning, and anyone can read up that Wikipedia, anyone can Google that stuff, but, that's hard to talk about. But anyway, Brett is the clinician that's working with us, and we're doing education. So for everyone that goes to a treatment center, whether it be SOAR, whether it be something else, oftentimes their family, they do have family programs at a lot of treatment centers, but the family is usually left with wanting to do more. And so we offer a 30-day Zoom program, essentially, where we're offering education. We have myself, an interventionist, we have a clinician, and we have a substance abuse counselor that actually runs the groups, and they're 2 times a week for a month. So they actually have something that keeps them busy and helps them get themselves in a better spot and stop the enabling and be able to, the enmeshment and the things like that, and become strong on their own, while their loved ones are going through their addiction program, or they might not even be willing to do a program. Maybe they're still in addiction. They just want the help, but helping the family, that they're often forgotten. I mean, you know, from your story that the families need a lot of help when someone's going through addiction.
Oh, yeah.
So we actually have that program that we're launching in November. So tomorrow it'll be this month, but
nice.
In fact, that being said, we're offering 4 scholarships for this first month. And I think we have 2 of them filled. So if anyone knows anyone whose family or the family of someone still struggling with addiction, whether they're in a program or not, let me know. You can call 26-SOBRIETY and or text it, or reach out on any of these platforms and then get a hold of me. But we're going to scholarship 2 more families.
And what's the treatment facility like?
So it's not a facility. We're just it's the families.
Oh, you choose to
Zoom.
Sponsor them where they need to go.
Yeah, no, sorry. No, we're scholarshiping for our Zoom for the Family Addiction Initiative, for the family program. We're scholarshiping the families.
And how does the program work?
So essentially, the family will. So let's say that you're in treatment, right?
Okay.
So let's say Felice, while you're in treatment, you might be somewhere where there is a where she's getting services or whatnot, maybe coming once a week to a family group or whatnot. But we actually have a clinician, like I said, and a substance abuse counselor and an interventionist, and it's through Zoom. So from the comfort of their own home, they're joining the group, and it's with families all across the country. So basically, we do 10 families at a time per group, and you know, depending on the family will depend on how many people, but usually 4 people in the family can join. And you know, so whether there's teenagers going through it and the wife or the husband or the aunt, the uncle, whomever, we actually we're offering that. So as kind of like a companion for them while their loved one's going through treatment. Because I remember when I was going through treatment, my family was like, we don't know what to do, like how to help you when we're done.
Thank you, Marilyn. Appreciate that a ton.
So yeah, so anyone please, yes, thanks Marilyn for that. Thank you very much. So anyway, I wasn't really planning on necessarily plugging that, but just saying that we do have scholarships for that, for anyone that's who knows a family that's going through addiction, doesn't know what to do. We'll give them a 30-day program. So
that is great, dude.
Yeah. So anyway, so you asked me to tell that part of the story. So everything I've been doing since then has been towards recovery. And I realized that that's the only way that I can keep my ego out of it, is by at least minimize, like we all have it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But is to just continue giving back to people and helping people, because otherwise I know that I start thinking I'm hot shit. And next thing you know, I think that I'm too good for this recovery stuff. And I can handle just a drink. I can handle just 1 oxy. I can handle just this. And then, like we said, it's that, like I said a couple episodes ago, it's that shining key that takes us back in that dark room that.
Then you're Wolf on Wall Street again.
Caught in. Yeah, exactly. Wolf on Wall Street until I'm homeless, you know? Hey, Don, thanks for sharing about Cali and what you've been doing. Sounds like a good fit with Brett in the new program. Yep, you know about Brett. Absolutely, Nick. You're most welcome, man. Thank you for chiming in and being part of this, man. Nick, I would love to connect with you, man. Nick is I can't tell you how close we were, man. And when it comes to our hearts, how close we still are, Nick. You know what I mean? We just haven't seen each other in so long. But let's see what Epi say. LT, looks like you dove back into that lifting, bro. Indeed, he has.
Oh yeah, I hit 405 yesterday. Yeah, I did it here at SOAR. Bam. 90 days, I dropped 21 pounds, and I've increased all my lifts back to pretty much where I used to be. Last night, I deadlifted 405. So,
dang, man.
It's on the Facebook page.
That's
if you guys are not a part of the School of Addiction or the School of Addiction Recovery's Facebook page, look them up and join. You get to see all the stuff that we do. Alicia says, I'm not sure if I should say this now, but Don, you're amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And she wants to know how the heck she doesn't know you. You guys have like ran circles, just like barely passing each other like this.
Alicia, when did you start working at Odyssey House? So, I mean, since there's kind of a delay, I'll tell you. So I went through the program in 2006 and then graduated so January 3rd, 2006, graduated residential August 6, 2007. And then from August 6, 2007 for the next 3-4 months was in transitional living, which was the one that was above the administration building. Okay, 3 years ago. So I stopped working at Odyssey House in 2011. And we got Big Jake in the house.
What up?
Big Jake. So he's been the engineer today.
Filling in.
What do you have to chime in on this, Jake? What do you think about what we're talking about, all the homelessness stuff. And you ever been there?
Yeah, I lived out of a backpack for a couple of years.
Really?
Like in between jail stints.
Yeah.
I'd get out, I'd relapse. I'd had the unresolved trauma, and really it's rough. Like I never had the homeless shelter experience.
Right.
I never had like that. I was always, if I had dope, I had somewhere that I could be.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
There were a few nights where the beard has arrived. That is correct.
That's a legit beard. I mean, when they saw mine last year, mine was a joke compared to that thing.
But no, there was a few nights where you're out all night, or you're
just roughing
in like a park bathroom, or sitting at the tables next to the library, sitting on somebody's porch. I've spent a few nights, and it's like, it was weird because then, like, lacking that temperature regulation, all spun out.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Like 3 o'clock in the morning,
part to me.
And a windstorm, and it's the middle. Like, it was like the middle of July, and I thought I was going to freeze to death on this dude's front porch, because all I had was like a tank top.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I see people just strung out, wandering the streets around my neighborhood.
Absolutely, like, man.
Just homeless, nowhere to go, and it sucks.
Well, dude, going through that for 2 years, you chose not to do the shelter experience. It sounded like, you were basically like, you had somewhere to be as long as you had dope, like you said, and then you chose to basically be kind of self-sufficient out of a backpack. What are some of the craziest things you went through? Like, obviously that experience on the porch, but we saw a guy yesterday that literally had a titanium plate on his arm like this, like old knight stuff, like knights, to be able to guard. Like we saw people, sharpen their machetes.
Yeah.
Sharpen their machetes yesterday. Like, you know what I mean? This guy, like, it's to basically be able to block himself from a stab or something. Like, so I'm just saying, like, what kind of, you weren't in the shelter. They were in front of it, but like, you're a big dude, so you might not have been victimized as much, but like people, they've often become victims, like when they're out there.
I don't know. In my meth-induced psychosis, I used to always walk around with like a cane, and a towel around my neck.
Really?
And people just thought I was insane.
Yeah.
And so
was that intentional?
What?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Was that intentional? Like the towel around the neck and the cane? Did you want to convey that, or did you have a reason for
I was trying to. I was just sort of trying to do my own thing, and if people think you're just nuts, they tend to leave you alone. But then it was also very calculated, because like, get into a situation, like throw a towel in somebody's face and smash them with a cane.
Yeah.
Like, they just think you're nuts, but everything was very calculated. It was all defense and offense based. And people thought I was crazy until they found out that it wasn't just some wild Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy stuff.
Right.
Dude.
So look at you now. How tall are you?
6'2".
You're 6'2". Dude, you seem like you're definitely taller than 6'2", because I'm 6'2", and you're taller than me, bro. You got to be. Anyway, and how much you weigh?
220.
So what were you at? What were you at when you were homeless? Like, how skinny were you? Or did you were able to kind of keep your size?
Well, I don't know. I think I was just about 200.
Okay, so you're still a big dude.
Yeah.
So you were still pretty. Yeah, man. Because it's just, we see some small dudes out there, like one of the guys that we met yesterday, man. Like, remember he said that he went to go get a meal and basically got whooped last time he was down there. But so let's see what Epi say. Most times, if you can pay, you can stay. It's when that money runs out, you're out too. That's the way of drug houses everywhere. Proof they only care when you got their drugs or money. It's true. Yeah, no, especially if it's a dope house, like you either got to have money or dope. Otherwise, you're feeding off the system. But so did you ever have to pull out the cane and the towel in someone's face?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Several times?
I wouldn't say several times.
But you had to do it, and it worked.
I have used it a few times. Just, I used the cane more on, like, dogs.
Yeah, that dude.
Like, walking down the street at 2 o'clock in the morning, and, like, like a Rottweiler gets out of his yard and is, like, chasing me down the street.
That's stuff I don't even think of, right? But that makes sense.
Because then it's like that distance control. Like, dogs coming at you, you just, like, jab it in the face. So it's like, all right, well.
Yeah, this thing bites back. Like, this human or whatever I'm trying to bites back. So I'm not going to keep messing with it.
Yeah. But
how many police interactions did you have? Well, just for being homeless, like, you know what I mean? Like, just for what would you be calling, loitering or whatever? You know what I mean?
Cops really just sort of thought that I was crazy because I'd get in this thing because it had the cane had like it was one of the hook.
Yeah.
And when cops would walk by, I'd just start walking like Chaplin, like swinging the cane.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just some crazy dude. Like,
so you were calculated
like
as hell,
man.
Man.
He ain't doing nothing. He's just being high, just being crazy, ain't bothering nobody. Like I never shoplifted from stores after I went to prison.
Really?
But like I wouldn't. I would bring attention to myself because in my head, it's the people that are trying to be sneaky and hide that get the attention from the police.
Right.
So really, the more outrageous I was, the less likely it was for police to even stop me because they're like, that dude's got like.
He's just the Charlie Chaplin nut guy with the towel around his neck.
Yeah, that dude ain't doing nothing. He's just hanging out. He's not bothering nobody, So,
man, dude. So for 2 years, like, so why? Like during that time, I mean, did you just accept life how it was, or were you choosing that? I mean, were you?
I was just high as balls. I was just high as balls.
So it was just the addiction had you.
Yeah.
It's like I say in that dark room, like when we're in it, sometimes we can't even see the door. So we can't even see a way out of it. It's like we're in that dark room, and as it's like that analogy I say, as we're getting sober, our addiction is getting progressively worse. So that room that's kind of in our house that we all live in, it's just getting nastier, and the vines are growing and just more moldy and stinky, and just anytime we go back in there, it's far worse than it was before. You know what I mean? Like when I got sober in 2006, it was far different than getting sober in 2016. Like it was much harder, and because that addiction got worse, even though I'd had 7 years of sobriety. It got worse when I relapsed. So it's wild, man, dude. So tell me these ring true. So here's some myths. So here's some homeless statistics and the truth about common myths on homelessness. So myth number 1, people who are homeless stay homeless for a long time. So here's the fact. Fewer than 1% of homeless individuals in 2017 identified as chronically homeless. Most homeless experiences are short-term. 53% of families and 71% of individuals exit emergency shelters within 1 month of entering them. I didn't know that. Myth number 2, most of the people who are homeless are still adults. Fact, in 2017, 65% of homeless individuals were single, but 35% were families or children. There were 281 homeless families and 164 unaccompanied youth. So this is I'm guessing this is Utah. Homelessness has a huge impact on children, interfering with healthy development and the ability to succeed in school. Myth number 3, the homeless are to blame for their own situation. That's one you hear a lot, right? So many homeless people are victims of circumstance, illness, and abuse. Among homeless youth, there's a 4 times higher rate of mental illness than the general population. Homeless individuals have a 49% rate of experiencing domestic violence compared to only 2% of the general population. That's wild.
Bruce Banner.
That's 25 times higher to experience domestic violence than the regular population. Several of these domestic abuse victims make up the homeless women in Utah. Bankruptcy, divorce, and many other reasons contribute to homelessness. And then basically 4thstreetclinic.org provided these facts, and they have information where you can contribute. However, not taking anything away from 4th Street, I think they're amazing. But if you do contribute to us, I assure you that everything that you contribute, that you tag, like, for this, we'll make sure that we do towards that project. And anyone that wants to come down. David Banner. Epi, you like David Banner?
He mentioned the Hulk.
On the flow. To go back to what, 02, 01? With a little flip?
No, he mentioned the Incredible Hulk and
Dr. David Banner.
Dr. Bruce Banner.
That's right, Dr. Bruce Banner.
Yeah, y'all can't see it. But
David Banner's the rapper.
You know.
Yeah, Bruce Banner.
I would know. Like, I'm actually wearing a Mr. Incredibles.
You a Marvel guy or a DC guy?
Both. Onesie. It is a onesie. There's just no socks.
What'd you think about The Watchmen? Because that was outside of DC and Marvel, right? That was its own. I forget who the.
I think that was Image.
Yeah.
I liked the comic book better.
Yes.
The movie was on point, but for me, they changed one thing that ruined the rest of the film for me.
What was that?
It was how they made Dr. Manhattan responsible for all of the deaths.
Right.
Because in the graphic novel, Ozymandias, he actually created like a genetically engineered creature to appear in the center of these cities. And right. I understand that was just a little bit too fantastic, but for me, it took away from the story.
What about the series? Did you watch the series that HBO put out?
I have not, but
it was just last year.
Like for the movie, for a movie adaptation of a comic book, it was on point. And the only thing, like, it was the biggest thing for me, but yeah, like, they did a really good job with that Watchmen movie. That's
rare because usually when you go to the actual comic books, it's nothing.
Well, because they hit all the one shots, like, because in the graphic novel there were pages where it's just like this epic shot, like when what was his name? Night Owl.
Yeah, Night Owl
and Silk Spectre were in his ship.
Yeah,
Archimedes, and there's that.
I remember
when it comes out of the water, or when it's flying through the sky. During the culmination, during the climax of that scene, the flames going through the clouds.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased with how cryptic I was there.
Dude, I love it, man.
Not paying attention at all.
LT? Yeah, LT's busy over there.
Anybody that's watched it should have caught what I said there.
Oh, yeah. No, man, Watchmen, they did a good job. I'd be interested in your take on the series. The series definitely isn't as accurate, but it's still good.
Is it going with the books, or is it like a side story?
It's both. I mean, the characters are, they still got the same characters, but and the same heroes, but it's more. I'm trying to remember if it's more present time. You know what I mean? Like, as opposed to, you'd have to watch it, man. Like, I watched it a year ago, and I watched it like all in a day. Like, I think it was 8, maybe 10 episodes.
Yeah.
But it was HBO. It was a good production. If you put the book aside and try to just watch it as itself, you'll like the show. If you're thinking about the graphic novel, it depends.
That would depend on if it was written as a like side story, and then it would also depend on who wrote it. Like, if Grant Morrison wrote it as a supplement to his original graphic, then that's something different. But
I'm gonna see who wrote it. Right now. So episode 1. So let's see. Yeah, 2019 action fiction. So based on the celebrated graphic novel by Alan Moore and David Gibbons, the exciting Dark Watchmen takes place in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 34 years after the original story.
Okay.
So it is a side story. So anyway, yeah. So people are talking about it though. So wait, I like the dedication LT shows at the gym. Keep up the good fight. That's from Nick. You know what? So I mean, LT and Jake here as well. Like, I mean, so it's so much more than just the gym. I mean, LT has. So for any of those of you that watched the War podcast that we did for the last 2 years, so anyone that watched the War podcast we did for the last 2 years, I mean, usually you saw just me on my computer and doing that. We never went live. LT's come on and I mean, you guys saw the introduction if you came and started watching from the beginning. I mean, LT's production is seriously some of the best production I've ever seen by anyone. I mean it, man. And he spends hours. So Recovering Addict is his business. Most of you guys know that. Nick, I don't know if you do, but Recovering Addict is his nonprofit. And it's he's got a Discord. He's got people around the world that communicate. I mean, a lot of the people on here are from that. Look, he's got YouTube, Facebook. How many other live platforms?
Private Facebook group, Periscope, Twitch, plus the SOAR.
Yeah, all live at once.
Yeah, 7 different platforms right now.
Yeah, and then also, like I said, the work we're doing with the homeless. I mean, what he's gonna and I'm gonna help him with the editing. I'm gonna use my. He's like a grandmaster. I'm like he's like a 2200 rating in chess. I'm like a 800 rating, but I can still do the premiere editing for anyone that saw the last, the episodes last year. But anyway, we do have that Kalichi episode we still got to put out.
Yeah, we should re-edit that. And just make it bad.
Absolutely. Yeah, make it really good because I have the raw footage as you saw.
I'll just put that on my channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's just put it out. It's ready. Yeah. So, how are we on time?
We're done. That's an hour and 1 minute and 10 seconds we've been on.
Yeah. So, I mean, just ending with everyone, thank you for tuning in. And, anything you can do, just remember that, one of the things we were told, I'm just going to end on this maybe. One of the things that we were told by Brian is that when we asked, and by Matthew, I think, that when we were asked with what we could do for people, one of the biggest things that we've consistently heard is that if you just give them a smile, that makes the biggest difference in their day because they're so often just ignored. And if there's someone even asking for money, you're not able to get money, just at least give a smile and ask how they're doing. But
the one dude that cracked me up the most yesterday was that drunk guy we were talking to.
Oh, Jeff.
And he was a little upset. He's like, I'm waiting for the girl and the dog to show up because you can't go fly a sign in the corner without the girl and the dog. That completes it. I make more money when the girl and the dog's there.
Yeah, he says, I make 3 times the amount. He goes, I can make $50 in 2 hours. and then he also said, he's like, yes. He's like, so my wife's in prison. And then my girlfriend's, I'm waiting for her to come out of the shelter right now. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds like a kind of you'll see all this stuff. But no, we didn't have that.
We didn't record.
But he's like, yeah, basically like, that. I'm like, that's a scary situation for you, bud. And he's like, well, the real wife actually is over in Texas or something like that. And anyway, but just have a chat with people. Don't be threatened, man. If anything, it might be the other way around. But just go and spread some joy. You know what I mean? I think that's a big thing you can do. So spread joy. If you do have something to donate to people, give them some money or give us the money. We'll make sure it goes to something, useful. But
yeah, like
just
tacos.
Remember, there are people like us and any one of us that are addicts. We could be there at any moment. So
heck yeah. Sweet, Don. That's a good hour of SOAR. Don't forget SOAR, School of Addiction Recovery here downtown Ogden, Utah, located at 3075 Grant Avenue. Make sure you give them a call. I mean, you never know. We're not a place that we're trying to get clients just here, but Frank, the manager, he's willing to go out of his way to find a program that's right for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're just wondering about a program in a place in Ogden, call Frank, 801-943-2655. And he bends over backwards for people. I love it.
He does. Yeah. And if you need any interventions, 2-6 sobriety, I'm always willing to help go do extreme interventions, no matter what it takes, so, or if you need program recommendations, hit up. Frank and I are actually working collaboratively right now on helping this 14-year-old get into Odyssey House, actually. So, awesome. Christine, if you're watching, if you can help anyway, let me know. But cool. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Peace out.
All righty.